As soon as white men landed on the shores of the New World, Native Americans have been faced with inequality and oppression. Over 10 million Native Americans originally lived in the land that is now the United States during the 15th century. By the year 1900, that number had decreased to less than 300,000. During 1546, colonists revoked Indian enslavement laws that had been originally made to protect the indigenous people of America. Europeans then took advantage of the Indians' lack of technology and began to enslave them. Around the 1700s, Native Americans were even being held and sold alongside African Americans. One of the worst cases of oppression occurred in 1838 and 1839 as part of Andrew Jackson's Indian removal policy. The Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and other tribes were forcibly removed from their traditional lands in the southeastern United States and forced to relocate farther west. This included Native Americans and the African freedmen and slaves who lived among them. The Cherokee people called this journey the Trail of Tears because of its devastating effects. It is estimated that the 5 tribes that were targeted lost 1 in 4 of their population to disease, starvation, cold, and exhaustion during the long trek.
It seems like an appropriate time to acknowledge the ongoing controversy about the name Redskins. Let's start here.
Native Americans today have been reduced to logos and team names. There are over 450 companies and groups that still use Indians as mascots and logos. A group of people should not be used as branding for food, clothing, or many other items. In particular, the Washington Redskins have faced a lot of controversy regarding their name. New York Times had a survey where more than 2,000 Native Americans said they were offended by the derogatory and racist term Redskin. The NFL pushed for the team name to stay the same due to the tradition, but it's undeniable that it is rude and ignorant. This name, along with many others similar to Indians, printed onto sports teams and companies' jerseys and logos, can make the minority a target for harassment. McLean High School in Greenfield, Ohio showed off an extremely offensive banner during the final high school football game. It read, "Hey Indians, get ready for Trail of Tears Part 2. Upon receiving countless complaints, they removed this photo from their website and posted an apology letter. This also included the removal of numerous more offensive photos of the kids dressed up as cowboys and Indians during the game's Spirit Week. The photographs included numerous white cowboys rounding up chained Indians. Overall, the use of these symbols and logos distorts Native American history and culture and often stereotypes them in offensive ways."
When considered that way, Redskins can't possibly honor a heritage or a noble character trait, nor can it possibly be considered a neutral term. It's an insult, a slur, no matter how benign the present-day intent.
Many groups have been formed around the idea of racial equality for Native Americans. After years of unequal schooling, the Native Indian Education Association was formed in 1969 to fight for equal education for Native Americans. Until 1935, freedom of religion didn't apply to Indians. They could be fined and sent to prison for practicing certain traditional religious beliefs. Advocates finally went all the way to the United Nations to seek laws that protected the rights of Native people to live with equal freedoms. In 1968, marked the passage of Indian Civil Rights Act, which really gave Native Americans a chance for equality. It had a major positive impact on the state of equality for the minority, but the oppression is of course still around today. In December of 2009, President Barack Obama acknowledged this and signed a bill acting as an official apology for past atrocities and acts of oppression towards Native Americans.
The Dakota Access Pipeline is a 1,172-mile-long underground oil pipeline and the most recent act of oppression towards Native Americans. Also known as the Bakken Pipeline, it has been controversial regarding its necessity. This pipeline has 2 major negative effects, one being it would contaminate clean drinking water and also go through ancient and sacred Indian burial sites. After all the injustices committed against Native Americans by the American government, this pipeline should not even be considered. It cuts through land that was given to the Native Americans and that they used to bury their sacred members. This holy land should not be dug up and destroyed. This pipeline is a symbol of the constant oppression of Native Americans. It shows that we can't comprehend or appreciate the importance of their land, culture, or rituals. President Trump backed the production of the pipeline and said it would serve national interest. What about the interest of the Standing Rock Soy tribe, who said, "Americans know this pipeline was unfairly rerouted towards our nation and without our consent"? The tribe, whose land is distributed and destroyed, were not even consulted or asked about the production. Oppression began with the Pilgrims, and it has not gotten any better over time. From President Jackson's enforcement of the Trail of Tears to a high school mocking this tragic and horrific event. From 10 million Indians to less than 300,000. From a culture and group of people to logos and a team name. From Holy Land to a location for a pipeline. Native Americans have been systematically disrespected and oppressed for decades. Now it is time for change, and we have a plan.